themselves. Because a lot of people would mention that, hey, I work crazy hours, I come home, I'm tired, can't sit there and read, I can't sit there and study, and all this being told, but yes, they misled me, but what can I do to basically have a better chance of being healthier? Like what would your advice be to an average person?
I don't know. Just follow me, read my stuff. I don't know. But in general, I can, they tried to trick us once or even twice now. They started with COVID and they came up with the monkeypox. It failed. They were not going to do it. They're not going to do it another time. So they know this this disease, pandemic, vaccine stuff. It's gone. It will not work next time. That's why they're going to use another style. I mean, maybe climate will have a comeback. I think it will have a comeback. There are different conflicts all over the world, and it's crazy that some people who didn't buy the climate stuff, the COVID stuff, they immediately buy the Middle East stuff. So people often have an issue to understand logical links and correlations. So it's really puzzling to me how people can either cheer for Hamas or Israel. I mean, like, we are being played by the same players. The same players who played us during COVID are playing us again right now and distracting us from really matters. There's this. You have a quite Ukrainian name, am I right?
Russian, but
Russian,
the left
okay.
one has E.
Yeah, usually EN at the end. Yeah, it can be also Russian. Anyways, there's also conflict, and the media is playing us there. Like, they don't tell us the whole story from the beginning to the end. And these are just political conflicts or war conflicts. But then there's other stuff. So there are other sides. I said, like, the climate, of course. There is the financial stuff that's about to happen. So we were looking into, there's so much debt. At some point, things are gonna collapse. There's this woke culture, the cancel culture, and some people see it, others don't. But many people just live their normal lives, and they don't even know about any of this. I can just tell you, go to somewhere in Berlin, talk to some grandma, and you start talking about psyops, about climate, about COVID. They would be confused because all they know is Tagesschau at 8 until 8:15. So they don't know about any of this. And I mean, like, here you're an ex, you're rather informed, but I tell you, the majority of the people is not red pilled. They may be red pilled on one topic, but not on many topics. They don't know that there is a global cabal who is like, they're meeting at several occasions, be it the WF, be it the Bilderberg meeting, or just like at meetings of the British Crown. I don't know. So they meet up, they have their network, and they're trying to steer things towards a specific direction. And in this case, it's depopulation. I'm pretty convinced it's depopulation. Of course, they think, like, how can we do it? Of course, yeah. So they try to make the society less male. So they try to get our T levels extremely down by several measures. They try to, by the way, the vaccine is one of these measures. They try this climate scam in order to control us. They try to the digital central bank currencies, so they can actually check every of our moves, and then they come up with this with a CO2 passport, because this is the last thing they actually need in order to totally control us, and it's all going towards this direction, but people don't see it. They just see it when it's too late, just like COVID. The first year, our group, that was critical towards everything was close to zero. Even McCullough was pro lockdowns and all the people. So we were like just a handful of people, and everybody was against us. And of course, in the second and third year, it was growing. Many people were shifting from one group to the other. But the new psyop, the new normal, is still something that people don't see. Many people don't see. So yeah, I'm always trying to, with respect to these things, I'm always trying to educate people, telling them, look, CO2 is going to be the new thing. they're now in Europe just destroying literally the European economy. I mean, like the US was blowing up Nord Stream 2. The Germans were like fine with it, and now Russia was like, I think they were striking another gas depot in Ukraine, and Europe will be literally without gas, or like will hardly have any gas during the winter. The economy is gonna collapse there, and what's gonna happen next? I don't know, but it's gonna be super wild, and I think it's a global game. But I don't know what the end game is. There's so many people who are claiming that it couldn't be. But what I know is always be vigilant. Always ask yourself whether what they're saying is making sense. If it's like, if you think something is really strange, it's most likely a psyop. And most importantly, focus on yourself in your micro environment. It's the most important thing. Of course, because these global events, you cannot change them. You have literally zero impact. I have 1 million followers. I have zero impact on the global event. Zero. None of us has. But you have impact on your own life. So try to live a life that's resilient to their plan. So grow your own food. Don't hoard. People are like, oh, I'm hoarding. Doesn't work. Grow your own food. Get yourself and then into an environment where you can grow your own food. If you don't have land, just join a community garden or whatever. It's super important. And people say like get Bitcoin. I mean, of course you can do it. You can't do it. But I'm like, there are other precious materials that make sense. And try to be independent. For example, have your own startup. Try to not depend on many other people. I mean, like here in Brazil, I got this perfectionization. So I mean, like I'm literally 100% self-sufficient. So there could be World War III. I would just like be like, why is there no more Starlink? Why is there no more internet? And I would be disconnected from everything, and I would just like probably live here and not figure out that there's anything going on for like a couple of days until I drive to the next town, which is like 40 minutes by car. But yeah, so not everybody is in my position, but of course, the main focus is still focus on yourself. Try to be resilient and think about what you're going to do once the shit is the fan, because it's going to happen. By the way, once the shit is the fan, nobody's going to need people who studied marketing or business. They're going to be useless people. People are going to need it with real skills. So whenever you want to learn some real skills, or just watch YouTube videos how to lay tiles or how to become a dentist, I don't know. That's always needed. Just train yourself some skills. Be it how to cook, That's all actually I got to say regarding all the things that are going on in the world. Focus on yourself. Try to get better. Teach yourself real skills, and try to be as resilient as possible. And then you're going to be all right.
And then, and this is great. This is great advice. And then, one thing you were mentioning, I just didn't want to interrupt. So, kind of talk to other people and help them. So, would you find success in helping convince those around you that, hey, look, something's weird, something's wrong. Like, please take a look at this. How did you find success there?
I didn't have success at all. So, of course, I talked to my family, my close friends, and even though I have a degree in publications in this field, nobody listened to me. Nobody. No, not nobody. I have two friends who listened to me, but then they secretly were bullied into taking the vax, for example. But they shared my opinion, but they eventually still did listen to me, right? But many people on this platform took me seriously. I mean, like in real, they take me seriously. They don't understand me. But I think many people on the platform that read in-depth threads about these issues. When I talk to friends, I'm like, oh, look, there's a study, blah blah blah. They don't even read the study, but when I post them on this platform, like, look, there's studies, this, people read it, and they're like, okay, maybe I should do it. So I get mails regularly and messages regularly, because my messages are open, where people saying thank you, where we just didn't take the shot because of you. So this is something that makes me extremely happy, and I know I had like impact. I convinced thousands of people to not comply, to not fall for it. So I think, I help people I don't know. It's weird. Actually, the people I personally care about, I failed. I don't know. I tried super hard, and no way. There was no way. No, I literally, I can't think of a single friend of mine. I tried to red pill many of them. Literally, eventually, all of them took it. So I don't know what the phenomenon is, because they're all like, they know what I know, and they know I'm right. And they told me even afterwards, oh, you're right. But we took it because one, for example, said that their volleyball team got all together to get the vaccine, and he couldn't feel like, oh no, I don't want to. He felt like he was under pressure. And the other one, is from Lithuania, and she said that in Lithuania you cannot do groceries anymore if you're unvaccinated. She was living alone, so that was her pressure point. But she said, like, before she took it, she said, like, they're criminals and she doesn't want to take it, but she has to because her parents also wouldn't want to see her and stuff like that. So it was awful for her, but I didn't fail totally that way, because I think she really hardly had any other chance. But eventually it's zero people from, well, no, not zero. My wife didn't take it because of me. So that's actually, she would have taken it and she didn't take it. She's super happy because her mom took it. My mom is totally anti-vax, but she also got, like, her friends were like pushing her more or less, and she took the vaccine. The next day she was in hospital with heart problems. So then she took the second shot, wherever, I don't know, and then she was even longer in hospital with heart problems, and now she's even more anti-vax, but it's too late. She was red pilled, but I mean, like, many people are weak. I don't want to say it in a negative way, because I mean, like, nothing wrong with being weak, but unfortunately, not everybody, is that stubborn. And some people are just like, okay, let's just do it. It's not going to kill me, and maybe they're wrong, but like the likelihood, of course, is much higher. But at least, okay, there's one person, I think the most important person for me, that didn't take it because of me. But all the others I failed. Yes.
I'm sorry to hear that. And yeah, I mean, for me, there was times where it just, like, I looked at this and I'm like, okay, there's a lot of smart people around me. I can't, if I'm right, I basically got to assume everyone else is wrong. And that's, like, you got to be really arrogant to assume that. So the only way that I could rationalize myself is that I had to get back to the basics. I'm like, okay, if I can look up the mask info and it doesn't make sense, then it doesn't make sense. If the vaccines are supposed to be 100% efficacy and the data that's coming out doesn't make sense, well, it doesn't make sense. So, but yeah, I agree. It's like,
nothing made sense. And the animal studies were so scary. They were so scary that, I mean, like, I knew I'm never going to take it. I mean, they can't. And of course, then I had to, as I said before, I had to find ways around. And I found ways around. Then it turned into a game for me. It was a game, literally, because, there was the people I love. Besides my wife, of course, she didn't take it. But for the rest, they're all good. I'm like, what can I do now? I just made it a game. So I was traveling a lot. I was traveling so much for, like, intercontinental flights for $200. This was like, it was the best time ever, being mask free, not using the mask, and people telling you use the mask, and like, no, I'm not going to do it, causing flight delays, just like playing with these morons. And I had fun. That time, because I was actually so mad that I just turned the game. I was like, okay, now I'm not gonna. They're not behaving. They're like acting like idiots. So I'm doing everything I can by law, just to to counter their evil narrative. And that's what I did. And that way I made many new friends, not just in online, but also in real life. So when I, for example, when I go into the supermarket here in Brazil, and Oh, there are two other people without a mask. Oh wow, we met friends. Like you're like, you could see it was so cool. You could see which people was sane. You walk in a supermarket and you could see this person's awesome and this person's awesome. The rest are like fucking idiots. It's like you can't see it anymore. Nowadays, nobody's wearing a mask. You don't know who's the idiot. You don't know who's the sane person. And walking like through like I've been, I was traveling Amsterdam, Berlin, it was many cities in Europe, South America. So whenever I was traveling, I could see like this person there must be fucking awesome. You just have, etc. And all the others, you could just, By the way, I was like, in last week in Miami, and it's crazy. The airport there is still like 5% of the people are still wearing masks at the airport. Like, wow, it's wild. People are still do. Because here in South America, nobody's wearing a mask. Nobody.
Well, I mean, I can kind of understand some reason to be like, well, just in case in the airport. But the one thing I could never understand, you're alone in the car with a mask.
Oh,
that I can never understand.
These very best people.
Just, yeah.
These people who own the car wearing a mask, they're lost. They're lost. So there's no hope for them. There's no single.
Yeah, that's like a baby pacifier. Like literally, it's literally pacifying their fear.
Take pictures of people who are driving a car wearing masks. My wife was always like, "You can't take a picture of these people." Like, yeah, of course I can. I take a picture of all these morons. And someone has to document what was going on. Like 20, 30 years. There were like people wearing masks in cars. No, nobody did this. No way. I can say like, look, I took pictures of these people. So there needs to be someone who is like unhinged and doesn't feel any shame to to document this kind of behavior. And I did. I've great pictures of people who were sitting in a car wearing a mask. But yeah, I mean they deserve it. Sorry, they don't add to society.
Yeah, and then one more question. Just so then for the people that did. I don't know when the listeners would have or wouldn't, but taking the jab, what can they do now? What should they do now? Or what could they focus on? I know there's Peter McCulloch's spike detox, but what would you say?
First of all, I don't believe in this spike detox stuff. I think it's McCullough's marketing thing just to make millions on people's fear. What I really believe in is the healthiest thing you can do is just like try to eliminate all the other risks you have in life. Start with avoiding drinking too much alcohol, eating sugar, it's important, and vegetable oils. Cut these things out, and they have a far higher impact on your health than the vaccine. I mean, like, after all this time, I think if you took the jab, of course, the reaction the first couple of days and weeks was more significant. I mean, we still see an excess mortality. It didn't decrease a lot. But I believe that what you can do is like doing the best for your immune system. Get a high vitamin D, get it up to 80, and have a healthy omega-3 index of 7 or 8, like Japanese levels, and then just work out. Unfortunately, what we see now is, I mean, like, again, I don't know if you probably watch if you're from Russia, football, like soccer, football, like the real football. I mean, every week there are incidences in Europe of athletes dropping on the field still. So I wouldn't, if I were jabbed, I wouldn't.
That's insane, yeah.
Yeah, it's insane. Yes, today was one, yesterday was one, every day, and then like, what the heck, what a coincidence.
Yeah, these are peak health individuals.
Yes, but I think the spike detox, the data for it is very weak, in my opinion. I've read the papers, and I think the best you can do is just get your vitamin D up, and your omega-3 up. It's anti-inflammatory, so that way you can hopefully reset or like activate your immune system. There is something that's actually very, very, very efficient. It's 5 days fasting, but of course you need to talk to your doctor. So I think 5 days of total fasting, just water, is resetting your immune system. So I've read something about this, that this might work, and it actually, just by scientific evidence, this should work. I do this twice a year, 5 days of fasting, 6 days of fasting. I never made it to 7, but it's really helping if you're regularly sick. But there are many ways to tweak your health. But I think like nobody should sell like spike detox stuff. That's not really scientifically proven. Yeah, so that's just like my 2 cents. I just see, wow, here are 292 comments on this. I didn't know that people can comment while we talk. That's like wild. One said, Nancy said, Dr. Hout has recommended another COVID boost in January, even if you got one in September, October, because it works so well. Nice. Okay, I will do the third on him. So many comments. Adrian didn't tell me that there are many comments. Wow.
And out of pure curiosity, obviously, just like this, I assume you do this on your own, kind of. But just curious, why do you said you do biannual ivermectin, kind of?
Yeah.
Well, why do you do that?
Oh, just like against parasites.
Fucking
Because many of us, brain parasites are rather rare. I mean, like they usually occur in dogs or cats. If you have dogs or cats, you should always also take ivermectin.
Enjoy.
And we have usually parasites in our digestion system.
Scary.
Most of us. So if you test on it,
enjoy paradise.
So I think here in Brazil, it's very normal to do it once a year.
Scary.
But I live in the jungle, so I get in contact with many animals. I've chicken. I have dogs. I get lots in contact.
See with the matzo ball.
So I take ivermectin twice a year, and it's working fine. So I haven't been sick for literally a decade.
See with the matzo ball.
Since I'm high on vitamin D, I didn't get anything. So of course, there's one thing that makes me sick. It's air conditioning in airplanes. So whenever I fly a intercontinental flight more than 3 or 4 hours, I get like sick. But this is not like what you would call sick. I feel like
See with the matzo ball.
a bit illy for 2 or 3 hours. It's like I feel like just like before you get the flu, the feeling before you get the flu that you're gonna get the flu. this pre-flu feeling. So I have this for a couple of hours, and then it's gone. And I feel normal again. So it never gets to the point that I'm actually getting sick, but I feel like I'm going to get sick, but I'm not going to get sick. It's always when I fly because of the air conditioning, or it's my theory. It happened since literally COVID started. So they are always spraying. Well, when everybody's in the plane, they have like some antiviral, antibacterial solution. They spray automatically in the airplane via the air conditioning system there. So maybe it's this stuff I inhale, or maybe I have some reaction on this stuff. But it can't be good. I mean, it gets chemicals you're literally inhaling for a couple of hours. And since I'm like here in an environment where it's like we have the cleanest air probably in the world, and then sitting in some closed entity that's spraying whatever, maybe that's making me sick. That's not really sick. So I haven't been sick for more than a decade, and yeah, I hope it's gonna remain like this.
So I got a question about that, because I know exactly what you mean. It's not a really sick. It's as if you have an immune response, but you don't really have like in your nose you get a snot or something, and it feels kind of a bit. But a couple hours and you're gone. So it's not like your body got sick with something, but your body was fighting off something in your nose. Yeah, and it's always after the plane.
I don't have this nose. It's like the whole body. It's like the whole body is heavy. It's like when you touch yourself, it's like uncomfortable. It's this pre-flu thing. So my nose is free, my lung is free, but it's like the feeling that you're getting ill. You're getting ill. You're feeling, but
yes,
it's not happening. It's not happening here. So actually, probably it's an immune response that works for me, but wouldn't work for others. I know the metabolic pathways.
See with the matzo ball.
I know my blood values. My blood values are regarding omega-3 and vitamin D. They are superb.
See with the matzo ball.
So my immune system works. It works perfectly. And last 2 weeks ago when I was at Luke's place, like Luke Rutkowski, look him up. He's on this platform. He has amazing content. And I was flying like 3 times within like literally 5 days. And I got to his place. I'm like, Luke, this time I'm really getting sick. And I asked him, do you have NAC, N-acetylcysteine? He was like, yeah, I have it in my vitamin bar. So I got there. I took like a couple of NACs, and one hour later I was like perfectly fine. NAC is actually maybe the best you can take when you think you're going to get ill. Take zinc and NAC.
What's NAC?
And acetylcysteine. There are even great studies on this. I think on COVID. Let me open this. And here, it's quite effective. Early late treatment. It's like 27% improvement for late treatment.
Interesting.
And for
me,
it's
kind of funny. So, sorry, just a quick follow-up. Yeah, for me, early on, I know exactly how I got sick with COVID early. It was like July of 2020. Silly. You go to a grocery store, and they were so adamant about masks, though, like, okay, put on a mask, walk in, walk out. And the funny thing is, I used my friend's mask, and he was sick early a week earlier. So that's exactly how I got sick. So it's kind of hilarious. But one day, massive salt water. Just when later that day, I started feeling, I'm like, okay, something is wrong. My fever started spiking towards the day. Just salt water cleanse nonstop 1 hour, and next day it was pretty much gone. And haven't been sick since. Except the nose thing. I do feel like something, it's like either almost burning or in some environments. Airplane is one. Around some people in like a very group dense. So I read a lot, and I have a question. Like this goes to a question. So is there a vaccine? What would you say about the vaccine shedding or stuff like that? Because that could have fully explained.
I believe it. I can tell you why. I told you that one friend of mine who got the shot with his volleyball team, he didn't tell me, right? So what he showed up at my place, and we had bros, hardcore bros. We drink beer, glasses out of one glass. It doesn't matter. We were just hanging out for he came to my place. We were hanging out for like 2 days, and after these 2 days, he left, and I was traveling to Munich, I think. And I had heart problems in Munich. So I developed myocarditis, and I was treating about this, and all lefties are making fun of it. So he didn't tell me that he got the shot. And we hung out for 2 days, and then I had heart problems. I went to 2 hospitals or 3 hospitals. I never had any issue. And afterwards, I was like, I'm in the hospital. And he was like, oh, I have to tell you something. I got vaxxed like the day we met. I'm like, what the fuck, So it wasn't even a nocebo effect that I was like, okay, he got the shot. Maybe I'm gonna get no. It was no nocebo effect. I didn't know it, and the heart problems I had were not like crazy, But I was like weak for half a year because my heart was inflamed, and I never was ill. I never got the shot, but like literally the day he got to my place, like 2 days at my place, and then the day after, I got the issues. So I believe in shedding totally. There's nothing else makes sense. So yes, I believe in shedding, and I know people personally who are unvaccinated and who hung out with their freshly vaccinated female friends, and then they didn't get they didn't menstruate for like half a year, or some of them were bleeding every day. So there's really crazy stuff going on, and I think we don't know the truth about all of this. So there are many rumors, of course, but I experienced myself, so I of course believe it. I think if I hadn't experienced it, I would be more skeptical. But as my case was no nocebo effect, I can just tell you that there's really something scary going on. But I think if this, the shedding is like just like a very small fraction of what you would get into your body via the vaccine itself. I don't want to know what would have happened to me if I had taken the shots, if I was already that sensitive regarding shedding, so probably would have died or something. So yeah, it's still scary, and I think we will never know the whole truth about it. But there's a reason why Pfizer in their clinical studies was actively talking about shedding. They wouldn't do it if they didn't know that it was like non-existent, well, it was existent. Sorry.
Yeah. There's a lot of unfortunate things about that. I mean, for me, the earliest things when I saw the like all the vaccine talk and everything, I have two questions. I'm like, okay, cool. So you get the cells to produce spike protein. Simple question: how many? Per one particle, how much? Per one mRNA particle, how many spike proteins get produced, or how long for? No answer. Okay, so then what's the mechanism for it stopping? No answer until like 7 months later. One person explained it, well, most likely the immune system cleans it out, which means the immune system cleans out the cells producing spike, meaning your own immune system attacks your own cells. To me, that thing was wild when I saw that. I'm like, okay, these questions, like, it's risky injecting something like that. And the funny thing is, I was actually, I was a big fan of mRNA before COVID because there's a company called Arrowhead Pharmaceuticals, and I made a lot of money on the stock market with Arrowhead because, and their stuff made sense. Their idea is to basically restart protein creation in the body. So that makes sense. But what because it's like, okay, well, body for some reason stopped producing this protein. Let's restart it. Great. But then, yeah, when the stuff started coming out,
maybe you went to the loo. I know.
And well, Adrian does that. One comment I wanted to make: the wildest thing about the current carbon thing is when Bill Gates said, "Yeah, we don't care about planting more trees." I'm like, okay, so if you want to reduce carbon, you don't care about planting more trees. But this is clearly like this is something else you're doing.
He also bought a mansion at sea level. It's always saying like, "Oh, the raising sea level is gonna kill us all," and then he's buying a property just like at the beach. I mean, like, he's literally laughing into our face. He's I've everything I would say now about Bill Gates would get me locked up, so I'm not gonna say anything.
Yeah, there's something that drastically changed with him a while back. I'm a tech guy. I'm a huge fan of Microsoft, what Bill Gates did with that, but at some point in the last decade, something drastically changed. He changed his direction, his focus. It was weird.
I mean, he was. Like since the beginning, it's always like these people, Bill Gates, Zuckerberg. They literally steal the idea of others and get rich of it, right? I mean, he's not a genius, Bill Gates. He's not. I mean, like, someone else did the work and he profited from it. But whatever he's doing is just like evil. If it's Planned Parenthood, if it's the vaccine stuff, climate change, whatever. But it's like rules for thee, not for me. So he's having yachts, he's having private jets. He can do everything. I think he even said his children are not vaccinated. So this man is really concerning, and like knowing that he's literally owning the biggest media outlets in Europe, and so Der Spiegel in Germany, Adrian was talking about it, and then the Guardian in England, and they're praising him like totally. They're writing everything he wants.
It's wild.
It's wild, totally. So yeah, I think Bill Gates should be investigated, and also regarding his connection to Epstein. So I think he is. There's lots of he is in lots of stuff we probably don't want to know, but I hope the time will come. I hope he's on the list, like on the Epstein list. Yeah, it should be published. I hope. Where's Adrian? Hello, Adrian.
Yo, what's
I
up?
don't believe he's like. Oh, wow! I've been calling for you for that several times. You were just.
I was doing something to Yeah, have to do some.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just
I was asking if you wanna bring up another person for questions.
I don't see anyone else requesting. This could be just a Periscope issue, but yeah, I don't really see anyone else requesting.
I saw Stacy commenting. Should be a great person.
I'll bring you up. Just bring her up. And Blythe if you see him, but nobody else.
Sounds good.
Jungle, they're all invited. Yeah. Otherwise, these are not my wars. So the war in Ukraine is not my war. So, I mean, I understand the history behind it. I understand the media is not really. Yeah, the narrative of the media does not reflect reality. But if I would concern myself with that war or get myself into this and into everything on a daily basis, I wouldn't do myself a favor because it causes stress, right? Stressing me out, it raises cortisol levels. I would get sick of it in the long term. So it's not my war. There's nothing I can do about it. I have only very little impact, but so I try not to get emotional. But of course, when talking about this, I try to rationally explain how it started. It didn't start with this Russian invasion. It started 10 years ago. There were Minsk agreements that were broken, and it was again a script. And unfortunately, hundreds of thousands of young men on both sides had to pay with their lives, who usually would be maybe in the space right now talking to us like normal people, and it's super sad. But if I think about this every day, I would get crazy because the deep state, the establishment, they don't care about dead people. They don't want this war to end. That's how they make money. That's how they control people. So they want to see more people die. Alex Soros, for example, he celebrated these intercontinental, I think ballistic rockets or whatever it was, that Ukraine sent to Russia. So he was celebrating it. So Soros is celebrating young Slavic men, white men to die. That's weird. That's literally what his father did. Celebrating other people dying. So it's highly worrying. But I mean, the only thing you can do is stating who's behind this conflict, who is profiting from this conflict, and not get myself emotionally involved too much because I wouldn't do myself a favor. And this actually is what all conflicts. What's happening right now in Syria, that all the media says the rebels, but the rebels, they are ISIS. They're wearing ISIS signs. So our media is not saying, the rebels are against Assad. Assad's a dictator, but Assad is he's not even religious. He's he's the opposite of what ISIS is. But of course he's not part of the Western plan, because I think there was an issue with the pipeline that he was supporting. So he made himself some enemies, and now the Western media are supporting ISIS. Meanwhile, the same ISIS people or the ISIS people themselves are entering Europe and causing issues in many European countries. If you just check, if you go to Paris or somewhere, you don't even see that you're in Paris. You're in Europe, sorry. So I know if oh, you guys have been in Paris, but I've been to Paris like 2 or 3 years ago. I've been to the subway there. I was the only European, right? It's scary, just Arabs and Africans, and well, and most of these people don't even speak French properly. And that's what they got into the country, and then you have all the high amounts of rave just because of this. And but our elite, I don't want to say who exactly and which circle because it would get me into problems, but there are some people who are striving towards the great replacement, right? And these are the same people who are waging for war. So whenever Soros is saying something, take the opposite. So whenever he says, for example, Team A is good, Team A is bad. So
yeah, exactly.
It's Soros.
And more of like, the war in Ukraine has to stop. There's too much dying. Obviously, it has to stop anyway, all the wars. But in Europe, in terms, I hope really they don't escalate any further. But even in terms of like UK and Germany, the stuff we're seeing right now, people getting arrested for posting something on social media and spending more time in jail than apparently people that go commit some horrendous act. Like, what would happen to those societies? Where's that going? How's that going to change?
It's not going to change. It's going to get worse. Germany is lost. Totally lost. There's no cure in Germany. I mean, maybe no Führer, maybe this wouldn't be a good idea either. So I don't know. I think there's some parts are going to get extreme to the right, because I mean, like, the whole establishment is so extremely woke and irrational. What is the way out, right? The way out, I mean, for many people, it's not democracy, because democracy that doesn't work. It's not democracy. There's one party, they call them AfD. I'm not a big fan, by the way. They're too authoritarian. I'm a libertarian, so I don't like authoritarian parties, but like they're from the right, and not from the extreme right. They would be on the left of the Republicans in the US, the GOP, to the left of it, right? And they're now discussing in Germany to ban the party because they're too extreme. And they're like, what the heck? How can you? Why do they want to ban parties that say that are critical towards the establishment and the cancer culture? That's something you have to ask yourself. Literally, all state media are also demanding to ban this party. They're not even right-wing extremists. I don't think they're extremists at all. But they're just too authoritarian.
No, I mean,
my cup of tea.
Yeah, it's just people like expressing their opinion, but even just like even the basic stuff. Like, I think you mentioned one of the German, the one person insulted a German, what do you call it, member of what do you call them? Member of parliament, but Bundestag, calling them fat and all of a sudden it's like, oh my god, you got a jail. That's kind of crazy.
This fat woman, right?
Yeah, it's like, okay, yeah, that's rude. But...
Her name is Ricarda Lang. Actually, it's Ricarda Long. Her name should be, I don't know, Ricarda Fat. Anyways, I think she is like 400 pounds. And, people called her fat. And, of course, those people got into problems. Because they have a law in Germany that you can insult everybody but politicians. So insulting politicians could get you to jail. So if you call a politician fat or something.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah, I mean, politicians are the people you should insult. They're like the only people you should insult, by the way. I mean, like, they have to serve the people. So why cannot the people tell them their opinion? But there it's different. Politicians can do everything, but you are not allowed to criticize politicians in a free speech way. So of course I called her fat, because what's she gonna do? Sue me here in Brazil? Go ahead, fat Ricarda Lang. And actually, I made a tweet about her that went viral, and I posted it on my private Instagram. And real life friends of mine blocked me. They were like, "This is fat shaming. Oh, why do you hate women?" I'm like, what the fuck? It's not her being a woman. I mean, she's just fat. And the thing is, I mean, like, I wouldn't mind, but this woman, right? This politician, she's telling other people that they cannot drive their cars anymore, that they shouldn't eat meat because of CO2 and all this stuff, climate change. But she's like consuming stuff for like 10 people. So this is the hypocrisy that makes me mad. Of course, if she were just like living a healthy, normal life and saying like, I'm really honestly concerned about this, I believe in this narrative, blah blah, nobody would ever do anything. But she's doing stuff while she's trying to tell the general population what to do and what not to do. We have to ban cars, don't eat meat and all this stuff. Men can get pregnant. Most funny thing,
Yeah.
she was like totally my body, my choice. Totally my body, my choice. Always my body, my choice. But it was about vaccine. She wanted like forced vaccination. Like, of course we make fun of this woman, and everybody should Google her or like search Ricarda, like Ricarda, and then long with an A. It's wow, she's huge, and unfortunately,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't find her anymore. Oh wait, I misspelled her. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't mean to like bring the subject and make fun of a person that's kind of fat. But
wow,
the whole thing
Ricardo
is like
has blocked
you
you. Oh, she blocked me. Okay. No. I don't know if you know.
Jesus Christ!
Yeah. No, I literally don't have problems with if people are obese. I mean, I'm willing to help. I'm willing to I wouldn't just walk up to someone and say like, hey, you're fat. But if someone, of course, is interacting with me or like this, I told before this lady in Berlin who tried to hit me for not wearing a mask. And she was fat. Of course, I'm gonna mock, But this person who was like pro-war, pro-trans people, pro everything, like pro everything that doesn't even make sense, and then it's trying to by the way, she hates Elon Musk. Always against Elon Musk. I'm like, okay, what the heck, And she's pro abortion until month 6 or whatever. It's really wild. And I don't have, and everybody who is not a Marxist for her is a Nazi. So of course, for these kind of people need to be dragged through the mud. We need to make fun of these people, because you cannot have a conversation with her. So
This is an
of course, what we
AI-generated video
did is like just
showcasing how
making
the ancient Egyptians.
I think this meme was the German Wally. You know Wally, where these two fat people were like,
Yeah.
and
This is
I
an
think I
AI
put her face on one of these faces. Anyway, yeah. And by the way, she hates Trump. She's tweeting more about Trump than about her own country. It's like she's crazy. She's crazy. Lucky you don't.
Well, the country is going poorer and poorer.
But she's the best. She's the best example. She's the best example. The country is really going down. There's no going back for Germany. There's no going back for Germany.
Yeah, which is crazy, especially with everything happening with Volkswagen. But one more question to you
Yes.
about it, just if we're talking politics. I gotta ask if you're in Brazil with the judge Alexander, right? That whole thing with Twitter and everything. If you feel comfortable talking about that.
Yeah, I can talk about this. I mean, he didn't arrest me until now. So, and I was writing heavy stuff. So yeah, of course, let's talk.
Yeah. So, well, first of all, what happened since? Because it kind of, like it was like this crazy pressure from Elon and everything, and then there's like fines, and then something kind of died down. What happened still? Is it better? Is it like, or is it still? What's going on?
Nothing. I think Elon Musk was just like paying a small fine, small one, which is literally nothing for him or X. I think it was $6 million or something. Doesn't hurt him. And they were just like, because the internal pressure here in Brazil was huge on this judge. There were demonstrations with more than 1 million people. Many senators were like talking about impeaching him, and suddenly it was backing off and just saying, "Oh, everything cool again." So as if nothing happened. But this shows that the people have the power. So millions are on the streets. So I don't know if you've seen my tweets about, because there was this big demonstration. I think there was a huge, there was like a truck, and I was on the truck together with Bolsonaro and with other. I think there were like 30 people on the truck, and I was one of them. And on both sides of the police, there were 1 million people. It was like an amazing view. I wasn't posting on X because X was banned, but I was sending it to other people on Telegram, so they posted on X. It was really wild, and like 1 million people on the police there, crazy. So afterwards, it just took like 2 or 3 weeks, and everything was back to normal. Unfortunately, I mean, like Lula, the president, he's super dangerous. He's like a hardcore communist. But also this is a federal republic, so every state has their own, I don't know what you call it, senator or whatever it is. I mean, like their own, I don't know how you
Governor?
say it in English, but governor. Every state has their own governor here, and my state is conservative. It's quite conservative. So yeah, literally, yeah, life is normal here. Of course, if you go to the northeast of the country, that's hardcore communist. It's a different story, right? They're poor. The northeast is super poor. They think, oh, we are super poor. That's why we have to vote for we have to elect the communists, so we will not be poor in the future anymore. But they don't understand that they're poor because of the communists. Causality. But I mean, like, you can't help them. Like the northeast here in Brazil is literally mostly of African origin. In the south, it's mostly of like Portuguese, Polish, German, and Italian origin. I'm living in the south, more in the south, so it's people are more conservative, and the rather the northeast that is rather of African origin, they're hardcore communists. I mean, like hardcore. So they always every election they keep on voting for the same people who don't make their life better. And they're like, well, we are poor. Oh, they make so many promises. Oh, let's vote for the communists. They don't understand it. They will never understand it. And without the Northeast, Brazil would be a very prosperous country, because most of the taxes that we pay here go to the Northeast. We don't know where it ends up. It's wild. It's like in the US, all your taxes go to Ukraine. In our case, all the taxes go to the Northeast, and it's still they don't develop. I mean, we could send them 10 times more money, they wouldn't develop. So it's
That's crazy.
difficult.
It's like that joke. It's like that joke, the Soviet and an American meet up, and they're talking about it, and the Soviet is like, man, we have great success. We got rid of all the rich people, so now everyone's equal. And the American's sitting there kind of sad. He's like, dude, and all we strive to do is get rid of the poor people so that everyone's rich.
Yeah, exactly. Same. The
So
communists
then
were
Sorry, so the why Brazil? Like, how'd you end up going to Brazil? Because as far as I understand, it was like during COVID time, out of all the countries, why Brazil?
It's very easy. Having a Brazilian wife helps, of course. I speak Portuguese fluently.
That makes
I used to be a assistant professor at the university, exchange professor, so I knew the country very well. And last but not least, Bolsonaro was the president, and he was like making fun of COVID. One of the only sane countries back then, until the election most likely got rigged. But yeah, it was extremely sane during COVID. I mean, like where I live, of course, in the Northeast, with the commies, they were like different, but things were compared to the rest of the world, things were all right. So that's why I moved here, and also, of course, I couldn't stand society after all the stuff that happened. I lost so much, I mean, like they froze literally all my assets. And so what I still earned and got, I just bought myself a couple of acres, I think 10 acres of jungle land, and that contained an old cottage or an old house, and I renovated everything. And was like, yeah, I need to be far from society. And this was the right thing for like 3 years. Now I feel like, okay, maybe I don't want to be that far from society. That's why I'm traveling a lot. I mean, I've been to the US the whole November, and meeting up many people. And I'll continue doing this. But whenever I'm here in Brazil, I'm just like isolated in the jungle. I mean, like there are farmers close by. So the next farmer is, I think, 15 minutes by car. So I have to go down the mountain and then through the jungle, and then he has fresh meat and raw milk every day. So I go there, get my stuff. I have 15, 20 chicken. So I have many eggs. I mean, I cannot eat that many eggs. Actually, my eggs end up being fertilizer in my rice beds. So because there's no one I could give them to. So
Wow.
it's life is very good here. So I wake up every morning being happy. But of course, it can be lonely when it gets too lonely. We just travel, and I mean, like in November, I met up many people in the U.S. who I know from here, and of course also during COVID, like not from Twitter, but elsewhere, and we meet up regularly. So it's not like second, third, fourth time we just meet up and discuss things, because it's finding people who think like yourself, especially in regarding that topic, like people who have been experiencing exactly the same, with having their livelihood destroyed because of expressing opinion. It's very rare. So I love meeting up with this small circle that understands the pain, and of course now in retrospect we can laugh about many things that used to hurt us a lot, but back then there was really crazy stuff going on. I mean, like, we could think like, okay, will we end up in jail tomorrow? What's the police doing next time? So it was not a situation you want to be in. But we see there's Bly's dog. Look, there's another speaker. Wow. But
hello. Yeah.
Hello.
I had a couple questions. So you've been fired from some academic positions due to your statements. How has this affected your career and your view on like academic freedom? And what advice would you like give a young person who's like a scientist who may be facing like a similar situation?
I don't believe academia is dead. So I mean, I was on track to become a full-time professor, right? Not going to happen anymore. I'm never going to find a job anymore in science. My name is burned. There's no chance. Private, maybe I could do private research with private companies. But I don't know. Right now, what I do right now is, it's just like, I'm writing a book which will be open access. Someone can even sell it. I'm selling my nutrient, my supplements, which I designed based on my knowledge. So this is really excellent supplements that are my income. I mean, it's enough to pay my bills right now, but maybe I want to focus a bit more on that. Otherwise, if young scientists, I mean, like, I can just tell you, I mean, like, if you're a young scientist or if someone else wants to attend to academia, you have to know that either you bow to them or they kick you out. There's no way you can literally say whatever you want to say or research whatever you want to research. There's always a limit. There's always a red line in what you're allowed to, what you can say, what you can't say. I don't know. Do you want to become a scientist?
No, I'm just wondering, like, for the young people out there who might be interested in studying these topics, like what your advice would be. Yeah, that's what I was kind of asking.
My advice is literally study for yourself.
Right.
Because, I mean, like, I've been teaching at the university as well. And, I mean, during my bachelor's and master's, and I studied at one of the best universities in the world. So, and I learned nothing useful for life. And until my PhD, of course, I learned a lot because I had to look up this stuff I want to learn, right? And I have to understand it, and I have to actually replicate it. And they kind of made me smarter than I was before. So I think these people who say, like, I did my own research, be it even on YouTube or be it on by looking up publications yourself, they're probably smarter than the average scientist who was just following a course at the university.
How would you suggest like the scientific community could possibly do better in the future to ensure more integrity or transparency in their research, like during a crisis?
Yeah, a friend of mine has a project that's called Axon DAO. I think they're doing decentralized science. I think it's some crypto based AI stuff, and they just won a NVIDIA prize, and they are striving towards decentralized science. It's very interesting because that way you can also make the peer review process more transparent and less biased. And I think the biggest problem in science right now is the peer review process. It's all these corruptions going around, all these everybody nepotism is a big issue there. So once you know an editor of a journal, he's most likely giving you a pass. If you don't have a name, they will reject your paper. It doesn't matter what you wrote in there. So if you check out Peter Hotez, his publications about to treat COVID critics as terrorists. They could publish in the Lancet. Imagine. If ever anyone else wrote stuff like that, they would probably get a visit from the police. I think decentralized science, decentralized everything is the future. So a decentralized social network, unfortunately, decentralized. But I think in the future that there will be a network which will be totally decentralized. And also, we have crypto is more or less somewhere, it's decentralized. So Monero, for example, is I think is a good example. There will be other mates of mine are working on decentralized AI to analyze patient data, blood data anonymously. So, for example, if you take a blood test, they can compare it anonymously to a million others. They can say, look, people who have similar blood values here, there's a pattern. You should maybe do some prostate cancer check, stuff like that. So I think these AI and crypto decentralized projects might be a way to the future. But the establishment knows that they're a threat to their narrative. So I think they're doing their best to either make them fail or to at least still have control over it or over the scope. But this is at least something positive I see, and I could imagine happening. Decentralized science. The question is who's going to implement it, right? So if nobody's going to implement it, if everybody's like, we don't want to decentralize science, nobody's going to. That project is maybe not going to have the success that they want it to have.
It's actually a great idea. Basically, instead of proof of stake, have a proof of kind of science, but you have to tie in some reputational aspect where if someone signs up or peer reviews a paper, there's some kind of fully anonymized hey, I give credence to this paper, but my credentials will be affected if I do something faulty.
Exactly. So there's one journal. It's called F1000. Actually, it's a good journal. It has a good impact, and they do this. I published my publication on the false positives and the PCR false positive in that journal with a couple of other colleagues. So their peer review process is totally transparent. The people who do the peer review process do it with their real name, their credentials, and you can see what they say. And everybody, I think, outside can even interact with it. So people who are just interested in this can even leave comments and all this stuff. So it's a very good process. We did it on the base theorem on the PCR test. So very good peer process. I highly recommend. But that's the only journal so far who does it. Of course, if you could do it using decentralized science project, I think it would be even better. And the question is still, how do you right now doing a peer review process takes time. It takes like 3 till 10 hours or something. So what can you do? If someone does it voluntarily, they should at least earn something, be need a token or something.
Yeah, exactly. And then basically have the references. If there's paper references and one paper gets taken down, disproved, that immediately cascades through. And okay, now there's some concerns that it has to be re-reviewed, revisited, and so forth. Because it seems like a lot of papers are published, reviewed, and if any of their references falter, those papers are not affected.
Yeah, I mean, like, so many. I think if you usually when you write scientific paper, right?
What does it therefore technically mean?
Like, you should be able to repeat it to do the study again and receive similar results. Actually, within the range, in the likelihood, statistical range. So, but I think more than 90% of the studies are not repeatable, repetitive. I don't know the correct word here.
Reproducible.
So you can repeat them. Reproducible, yes, exactly. They are not. It's literally impossible. So whenever you conduct an experiment again, it gets really different results, which were not in the statistical range of the original paper. So so there most of the papers have a methodological problem, and and many peer reviewers are not schooled on this. They just read it and they say it's like a methodology. Okay, it could be all right, and they check the results, and and they just do it quickly, maybe 1 hour, 30 minutes, and leave some comments. I don't agree with this, don't agree with that. But the main problem is the methodology. For example, there are no vaccine studies with a control group. There are no double-blind vaccine studies with a control group. Why is there no control group vaccine studies? Why is it not double-blind? So, yeah, that's the question you should ask yourself. But like all of them make it through peer review. Nobody's saying like, hey, this methodology is not scientific. No, they don't. And this is the case with almost all studies. So, for example, modeling studies are no studies. I have a modeling study. I tried the best, but even in my modeling study, I state that modeling is not scientific. Because not. It's pseudoscientific. It's because you need to do some parameter verification, or like not verification, sorry, justification. And you have to say that we use these parameters and these variables for this and that, but still you have to determine it somehow. How do you determine it? And you just try to find something that could be close to reality, but sometimes you don't know. So to me, modeling is nothing. It's not science. It can give you an idea, of course, but you should model paper. You should be very critical. Even you should be critical towards yourself. And it was a modeling thing on greenhouse farming in desert areas, so Mars or Sahara or Namib Desert, or wherever it is dry and there's no water. And this was linked to climate change. And they were on co-authors were people who are on IPCC, International Panel of Climate Change, and these people were like totally wild regarding climate. I mean, like I put like climate change as a theory. I put it in the introduction. They got like mad. Like, no, it's settled. I'm like, well, and they always change it back to there's climate change. That's why we need to. And eventually, it was fun when this. It went through peer review, and like then you have to do the final edits, and like just edit a sentence somewhere. Modeling climate science is like modeling COVID. Like it's like just like an assumption or something. Because I'm the first author, and I think I don't wanna be a first author of a paper that says like, oh, climate change is real, the science is settled. No, modeling the climate is just like my grandma could be probably more precise. And she doesn't know how to model. So then these climate modelers. So I just want to make sure in the paper I state that it's like, it's a theory. It's just like an assumption. It's not real. I mean, it's most likely will not even happen. So when it comes to science, we want to go back to the basics. Doing experiments with control groups, a high N if possible, and then make the study repeatable, and then repeat the study. And if the findings are the same, if you repeat the study 3 or 4 times, then you can say it's not settled, but the likelihood that this is the effect of whatever, is given. And we lost it. We lost it there. We totally lost it there. Now it's a dogma. It's okay. We are not gonna. So most of the journals like Nature, Lancet, they didn't publish any publications that were critical towards the narrative, even though the findings were solid. So this all had to go to MDPI, which is Chinese journals. They're registered in Switzerland, but they're Chinese. They were all published there, but I would say normal academia is dead. All this peer review process, they're all rigged, they're all fraudulent, and that's why you have to be careful with what you believe, what you don't believe. As I said, I wrote a Substack article about these vitamin D studies, and I checked them all one by one, and the sufficiency studies, and so many just said, oh, the WHO says 20 nanograms per milliliter is sufficient, so that's what we take. And then they were doing the study, but 20 is deficient. Just because the WHO said sufficient doesn't mean that it's sufficient, So their assumption in the methodology is already wrong. So how could you even so if you don't understand the methodology and everything behind, how can you even take the results and say like, oh, like this study said this and that, but it doesn't say anything because the whole methodology was already wrong. And this, and there were many other issues with vitamin D studies as well. Not just that, but some of them, for example, it takes 3 months for vitamin D to build up. Some were just like applying vitamin D orally and taking from then. They didn't wait 3 months, until they started the study and started measuring. No, they started right away. But there was no there can't be any measurable impact because I can take vitamin D for 1 week and the blood values will hardly change. And how can you then make a conclusion and saying like, oh, vitamin D doesn't help against COVID? No, because it takes 3 months, or you take it as calciferol into your veins or orally as well, or anally, whatever you want, and that raises your vitamin D level within 3 hours. But they didn't do it. These studies as insufficient studies don't exist. So yeah, it's weird what's happening in science. So I think 90% of the papers are garbage, and but to determine and to understand or to figure out which of these studies you read belong to the 10% that you can actually trust, that's difficult. So I found something very interesting. For example, I like reading letters that are sent from MDs to journals. There's this editorial letters. No, the editorial letters, but letter to the editor. And what I found is, hold on, I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna read it. Hold on.
While we wait on Dr. Simon, this is actually a great idea. What's called basically put some kind of proof of stake behind papers or research or something that ties up with proof of stake. It basically ties up some crypto until your transaction is validated on the main chain. So here it ties up until a certain period. Have some weight where it's like. And basically, if your research is used, then your stake increases, but it's tied. Maybe some dividends are paid, but it has to, if in 5 years it's fully disproven, well, sorry, it's gone.
Yes, so
it's donated somewhere or disappeared.
So I write a letter to an editor of an MD. I think the MD was somewhere in Indonesia or the Philippines, and he was stating that he had a client who lost his hair. His hair was always, falling out, and he went to a local shaman, and he gave him supplement pills he made himself, saying they would help against losing his hair, right? And the herbal supplement was Butea superba, if you you know this, but yeah, superba. It's some I think some root or something. Anyways, this so the dog's client was taking it in the course of several weeks. It didn't really help against the for he was still losing his hair, but that guy said like, oh my gosh, I'm super horny though. I want to pound my wife 24 hours per day. So this is literally what the letter to the editor said. And then they were testing his testosterone level, and that truly went up to 1,500. Like, wow. What the fuck? Yeah, exactly. So this is something, there's a doc that has a patient who's like saying, like, take this, and now I'm like super horny the whole time. He's getting strong. He's getting like, an alpha guy, and the doc is saying, okay, this is an interesting find. Let's write a letter to an editor of a journal. And these are the things I like to read, because this is like a real life story, And then you can dive into this further. Then you look up some studies to find, okay, this is an interesting study. This is performed in a good way, and then you figure out, okay, this stuff is really good. And I tested myself, so I got it, and I just tested myself. I mean, my testosterone levels are literally high already at 1,000, but I take it. It's like I work out so hard. And whenever you're horny, like, wife is in some all this shit. Okay, let's go to the gym, but it's really crazy stuff, and that's what I enjoy. So people send me these. So when people stumble upon this, with 1 million followers, people send me messages. I'm looking into the messages, like, have you seen this? This is a crazy letter, and I was like, wow. So this is what I really like, and people send me this stuff, and it's more enjoyable than there's like a PhD student from China at a European university who has this topic, and he's just trying to publish whatever, without any goal. But these kind of events, unexpected events, are actually what's interesting, and based on that, you can of course conduct an experiment and figure out more. But I mean, like a person who is suddenly horny the whole time and it's getting super strong and has like natural testosterone levels of 1,500 without a TRT. Something worth looking into. And then of course you read some studies that were like niche studies, didn't make it out into the wild, and you see like, oh yeah, wow, this really has an impact on LH and consequently on your testosterone. Yeah, that's actually my goal, to make the Western world male again, because I think our average testosterone levels from 1990 till now we're falling from 650 to 350 or something. It's dramatic. It's dramatic. That's why we have all the beta cucks. That's why we have all these guys that think they can get pregnant. It's a testosterone problem. But it's something for another space, because it's late, Adrian.
Definitely. I was gonna. Go ahead, Adrian.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can have another discussion on this in the future. Perhaps maybe even join us for an unrecorded conversation. You never know. We have those, but I think this was a really cool space.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. There are like 400 comments, and we didn't go through them. 400 comments.
Yeah, that happens. Sometimes we can go through them, but largely the conversation itself is very engaging. So it's more so a host to speakers type of direct conversation. It's like a podcast, but more improvised. Yeah.
It's super awesome. Well, the people here are posting links. Dr. Michael Hollick, awesome videos. Like, people here, like, in the comments are super red pilled. Wow, nice. Nobody is cussing me out. Wow. usually people are like, oh, this guy sucks. Oh, he's super retarded. Oh, he's a grifter. But
I love my community.
Yeah.
These guys are awesome.
Awesome. No, Adrian, let's call it a day. I still have to feed the dogs. It's 1:30 a.m. Poor them. There it is.
Yes.
Over there. Yeah, and maybe I'm gonna go a short walk to the jungle. I love it in the jungle when it's dark. The snakes sleep.
That's wild.
Yeah.
It's not like you don't see it like Herzog does. I see. Herzog has like a. You ever seen that clip from Herzog?
No.
Herzog's View of the Jungle. It's fucking hilarious. You should like watch it when you get the chance. It's kind of funny. He's like Herzog in the jungle.
No, it's really awesome at night. It's really awesome. I mean, it's totally dark. It's pitch dark. You don't see anything. I mean, like if
you see the stars.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I see the Milky Way with my bare eyes. I took.
You wouldn't happen to be seeing. You wouldn't happen to be seeing Orion or anything. I think that's more so like try to spot Jupiter and Orion next to each other, and then go perhaps a little bit lower below that, and then there should be a little star cluster in that general area. In this area, if you keep looking at it, there should be a lot of meteors coming through because we're kind of in that phase right now. So you'd be seeing a lot of cool stuff.
Oh. Wow. I mean, like, I wouldn't even know how to spot Jupiter. I know how to spot Mars.
Oh, it's a big shiny thing in the sky. It looks like Venus, but brighter. Much brighter. Super bright.
Yeah, I will send you a picture, and then you can tell me.
Sure.
If where I should look, but it's like I can see literally the whole Milky Way with my eyes. It's that pitch dark.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, of course, I have to get outside. I have to get used to it for like 15 minutes. You know, right now I'm like staring at my screen, but then it's like it's wow. I will send you a picture, and you will probably shit bricks.
Awesome.
A picture I took with my cell phone, right? Okay, just.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so guys, thanks for listening. I mean, like I was talking now for 3.5 hours, like crazy. I hope nobody got like too bored. And yeah.
Oh, no, not at all.
And
Thanks for taking the questions,
Yes.
Dr. Sam.
Yeah, everybody.